August marks Women's Month in South Africa. How we got here so fast is beyond me. Every day is Women's Day, and our brothers and sisters should make an effort to live this. Assalamu alaikum. This is Nur the Light.
The ocean remains one of the last unexplored places on Earth. It has managed to retain its secrets, but it continues to fascinate human beings to what lies beneath. For Anya Omari, this holds true, as she has been fascinated by it for as long as she can remember.
What draws me to the ocean and to my early morning swims is really the silence, the beauty. It gives me the space that I need to do what I have to do. And I love working with people and environmental issues, but those social justice issues in particular takes a lot out of you. It really means that you have to show up and be present and carry the flag. And so having that solace and that time to myself, dipping my head underneath and getting lost in what I can observe and see that's been created for all of us is really what draws me to spending time in the ocean.
Our parents often play a big role in determining which career path we choose, and many of us can find ourselves in unsatisfactory jobs because of this. Luckily for Anya, her parents encouraged her to follow her heart, and this naturally led her to pursuing a career that involved the sea.
I'm proud of what she's done, proud in the sense that she's actually, I've always said if we can afford to educate our kids, which a lot of my generation wasn't able to have, that they must be able to put it back into society, to educate and to respect the education that they have, because it's just the tip of the iceberg. And to see her working with them, nurturing them, it's just amazing.
After completing her tertiary studies, Anya got a job with the World Wildlife Fund. Here she climbed the ranks and became its acting head of freshwater and marine programs.
I worked for WWF South Africa, so they're a non-profit organization as well, but definitely have more of a corporate persona in comparison to other non-profits. And that was really an amazing opportunity. I grew from pretty junior position into the acting head of the freshwater and marine programs. And after discussing with my husband, we were about to have kids and a family, and we decided that I would be at home and nurture them. But while I was being mom, I was consulting part-time. And 4 years into being mom, I decided to start looking for projects. And the project that I was most attracted to was one by Professor Peter Ryan, who is an ornithologist actually at UCT. He lives in Muizenberg and I live in Lakeside, and I thought, perfect opportunity. It's my local surf break. It's where I hang out with the family. I wanted to give back to the beach that was closest to me. So it made perfect sense, and I started doing it voluntarily. So getting together every new moon, and whoever was keen to join, we would go down to the rocks and collect litter, but also marvel at the amazing rocky shore life, plants and animals that reside there. So that's how it started.
Anya left her corporate job to focus on raising a family. For the next few years, she would dedicate her life to this cause, but she stayed in touch with her marine life through consulting on projects.
The lessons I'm carrying over from my parents is really to share and to live in and with community. And those are the lessons I'm hoping to pass on to my children. One of the things my parents have always taught us is that no matter how little you have, if you share, what you share will grow. And that's something I really cherish.
The lure of the sea, they say, is irresistible, and it's called Anya back time and time again. She would often be found on the beach initiating or embarking on projects that were close to her heart. The student became a teacher, and she focused on access to the ocean for young people and women in particular.
How I plan to do that is through our beach cleanups. We will use those beach cleanups as the event and the foundation to engage with people that attend the cleanups, and then discuss and have conversations with them around how they feel about the ocean, what their access to the ocean is like and was like, what they feel some of the key issues are around caring for our marine environment.
Anya is a very warm, passionate person. She went beyond just looking at me as a volunteer at the beach cleanups. She really took me in and exposed me first-handedly and took me side by side with her. I actually did not know how to swim before joining the beach co-op, and she was very adamant. I never asked her to help me or teach me, but she took me in, and one day she just said, let's go into a tidal pool in Cape Town. And I was very scared, but she had so much patience for me. So she's been such a major part in my life, actually.
At the heart of it all was her religion. For the girl who grew up in a Muslim-centered home, the teachings of Islam acted only to encourage her to do more.
The role that Islam plays in everything that I do is related to community, the power of community, how each one of us as individuals can pool together and create and have a massive impact and drive change.
As I walk along the ocean, the most beautiful thing is I constantly think that as the foam comes in on the waves and it hits the shores, and I think if only I can give so much salawat. And when I find myself sitting on the Jagus wall, I would come to mind all of our loved ones that's passed, and I will do the Al-Fatiha on their ruh. So the ocean, really, it's amazing. It sustains us.
Anya Omari has managed to turn a childhood love into a career that has kept her fulfilled. Through her work, she has opened the doors for others to experience the ocean, and she has done so by drawing from her religion. Hers is life lived fully in the pursuit of joy.
Sisters keep doing it for themselves and managing to inspire so many of us to be more. I don't know about swimming in that cold water, but it does look refreshing at least. Let's take in some travel spots in KwaZulu-Natal.
The KwaZulu-Natal South Coast is known as a holidaymaker's paradise. Long sandy beaches, warm Indian Ocean, and an almost endless list of things to see make this an ideal year-round place to visit. Situated just 500 meters from the mighty Umzimkhulu River mouth is the Port Shepstone lighthouse. It has guided ships along this treacherous coast for over a century and is definitely worth visiting.
Port Shepstone Lighthouse first came, this was ships could get in here, boats could get in here. So in the late 19th century, in fact 1886 to be precise, the Norwegian settlers, who were a major part of the settlers in this area, early settlers, they decided to build a wharf here. They had to bring the ships in. So then the first signalling system here was a ship's lantern that was put on the top of a tree right where the lighthouse is now. And that served for about 7 or 8 years. At that point, the Maritime Authority of the day decided to put a bigger lighthouse at Greenpoint. So this lighthouse was there. So they dismantled it there and brought it here, which was, I think it was commissioned in 1905. So they've kept it on since then. So the light itself here is no longer used as a navigation beacon for coming in and out of the harbour. It's a directional beacon for ships approaching Durban and travelling our coast.
Its black and white checkered coloured frame is well known, but its history is also fascinating to discover. Local guides are only too eager to share some of the fascinating stories associated with this lighthouse, and people often leave becoming enthusiasts themselves.
All lighthouses around the world, I'm just going to talk about South African ones, there's 49 lighthouses on the South African coast that are still commissioned, they still work. Significance is they're a vital part of maritime navigation. Let's just say a yacht or a ship is totally lost. The batteries ran out in their GPS, or they had too much to drink the night before and they're totally lost. They see a lighthouse described as this checkered black and white with a device on top. If they see it during the day, they'll know that they're looking at the Port Shepstone lighthouse. They see it at night, up to 26 nautical miles away, 48 odd kilometers. They time it, they all time it in 6 seconds, so they know that they can take a reading on that, and that's Port Shepstone lighthouse.
These days, the lighthouse is run remotely, but it remains a good place to visit for the nostalgia of a bygone era. Halal eating places are plentiful along the south coast, as many Muslim communities have roots along here. Just outside the town of Elysium is a Muslim-owned resort that offers some of the best local fare this side of the Mtwalume River.
The resort you're at is Sugar Beach Resort. Our resort is special because of the situation, the location that it's at. Makes it absolutely amazing. They can expect to find 22 rooms of accommodation, breakfast included, wedding venue, health spa, restaurant and a coffee shop.
Meals are served either buffet style or a la carte, and emphasis is placed on making good food great. Their breakfast menu is extensive and caters for every palate.
We are strictly halal, so the Muslim traveler would be at the right location. We offer the best food on the South Coast. To my knowledge, this is actually the only true halal resort. We don't sell any alcohol, or neither is it served on the property.
Apart from the food, the resort is also a place to unwind and take in some breathtaking natural scenery. Long walks on the beach are very often just what is needed after being spoilt for choice by the food. For the adventurous, a place that must be seen to be appreciated is Oribi Gorge. There are numerous adrenaline-inducing options available, and the visitors should plan to dedicate at least a day to truly enjoy what's on offer.
Well, the Oribi Gorge is obviously 35 kilometers of crooks, crags and crannies, basically cuts by the Umzukawana and Umzukulu rivers over the last 35 million years. Obviously, Wildfire Adventures, what we offer here is extreme adventure activities, and obviously it lends itself to the gorge with the nice high mountains that we've got here. And yeah, there's obviously lots of hiking trails, lots of wildlife and beautiful scenery for people to come and enjoy.
Lush green forests line the banks of the Umzukawana River. There are various viewpoints where one can take in the beauty that surrounds the visitor, including a thunderous waterfall.
Well, Wildfire Adventures, we're one of the forerunners of adventure tourism in South Africa. We've been going for about 22 years now. Started off with, at the time, was the world's highest abseil at 110 meters, which you abseiled down alongside Lear's waterfall. And a few years after, we introduced the Wild Swing, which is the highest gorge swing in the world. It's a 165-meter jump. And then obviously we offer river rafting as well on the Umzukulu River, very, very water dependent though, so obviously bookings would be required before the river rafting. We offer paintball, we've got a 70-meter long suspension bridge, and we've got the Wild Slide, which is a single 60-meter zip line.
For so many travelers to the south coast, the memories often live on for a lifetime. Many come as children and return year after year, often bringing their own families to continue their adventure.
Slowly, like very slowly, but surely, Muslims are being recognized for their role in the Afrikaans language. Slowly, it's becoming a known fact that the first Afrikaans was written in Arabic. Don't believe me? Check this out.
The Afrikaans style monument in Paarl in the Western Cape was built to signify the language and its importance to South Africa. Afrikaans has often been seen as the oppressor's language, and so this monument was not well received by a majority of the population. It is beginning to change, however, as a different narrative of the origin of Afrikaans is becoming known.
Ons is in die Afrikaanse Taalmuseum en Monument. Die Afrikaanse Taalmuseum en Monument, en spesifiek die museum waar ons vandag in is, het sy deure oopgemaak op 14 Augustus 1975, 100 jaar na die stigting van die genootskap van regte Afrikaners, wat hulle beywer het vir die vertaling van die Bybel en om Afrikaans te verhef tot 'n amptelike taal. Ons is ook in die vertrek waar die uitstalling wat dui op die geskiedenis van die Arabiese Afrikaans en die rol wat Abu Bakr Effendi gespeel het in die vestiging van Arabiese Afrikaans en Afrikaans in die Bo-Kaap in die 1800s.
The Cape was a melting pot of nationalities after it was colonized by the Dutch East India Company. It required a common language that all its residents could speak, and this language became known as Afrikaans. Much lesser known, however, is that some of the very first Afrikaans was written in Arabic.
Arabiese Afrikaans is die vroegste geskrewe vorm van Afrikaans. Dit is gebruik in die 1800s, toe moslimkinders godsdienstonderrig moes ontvang in hulle taal, in hulle huistaal wat later as Kaapse Afrikaans bekend gestaan het, maar moet dit in Arabies skryf. So spesiale simbole is ontwikkel om die Afrikaans foneties, die Afrikaanse klanke foneties in Arabies oor te dra.
To honor the contribution of Arabic Afrikaans to the language's creation, as well as celebrate the institution's 45th anniversary, a competition was launched whereby Afrikaans texts could be transliterated in Arabic or Javi, which is Arabic that's been adapted to reproduce specific Afrikaans sounds.
Firstly, as a museum, we pay homage and give a lot of recognition to the work Abu Bakr Effendi has done in the development of Arabic Afrikaans and Afrikaans in general in the Bo-Kaap in the 1800s. And we're also in a very fortunate and privileged position to have koopleesboeke or student notebooks, which was donated by the late historian Ahmad Davids. Along with that, it's also to get a peek into the real shared histories of such a wonderful young spoken language.
A huge number of entries were received, and this proved that there still was a massive interest in Arabic Afrikaans. Dr. Shamikha Chowdhury, an expert on Arabic and head of the Department of Afrikaans at the University of Fort Hare, headed up the judging panel and chose the eventual winner.
When judging, I was looking for reader friendliness. That was it. I was trying to keep it as simple as possible, so that a youngster, say for example, of 6-7 years old that just came from a dresser and he happens to pass by and go into the language museum, that he would be able to stand there and read the Arabic and tell his mother, but Mom, this is actually Afrikaans. So I was looking for the simpleness of it.
The winning entry was written by Hassan Creel, who is a teacher at Islamia College in Cape Town.
When I became aware of the competition and I decided to enter, the next step was, of course, finding an appropriate piece. I read through the media statement once again, and as I read through it a second and third time, it dawned upon me, but this is what you must take. Number one, it is written in standard Afrikaans, clear Afrikaans, Afrikaans that is accessible to, the common man. And I thought to myself, why don't you take this very media statement of the ATM? And I took it, and starting with it, writing, I thought it was going to be a quick fix. Well, long story short, it took me about a week to write that small piece, because every time I revisited it, I would find fault here and there and rectify my faults until I felt no more, I've had enough now, I'm going to submit it. I submitted it, and the rest is history.
Hassan Creel's one for me was unique in the sense that he had this exposition where he had on the one side all the diacritic signs, and on the other side you would have the Arabic signs, and he would also have the Roman alphabet, which would make it for any youngster. My focus was more on the youngsters and encouraging them to, to start participating in something like this. So that youngster would be able to follow that table and be able to read that.
Hassan's entry was mounted in the Green Gallery, where numerous other works have been exhibited over the years. It has instilled a new sense of pride in a man who once despised the language because of its racist connotation.
My work that is here now in the Green Gallery is a contribution, I see it, change the narrative, take possession of monuments such as this, and make it available to all of us, so that it now not becomes the possession only of a certain grouping, but the possession of the people of South Africa.
Old and new language and traditional cultural organizations has, in the last decade, done a lot to undo the negative narrative. But a lot of work is still required. But what we should sort of concentrate on is the diversity and explore the diversity. And it's important, in an exhibition like this, that the shared histories and the hidden histories should come to the fore. And it's about, taking ownership of the place, getting to know the history, and so doing, building a identity.
I wish that, this type of competition would make it possible for our youngsters to start showing more interest in their heritage and showing more love for their language. My hope is that, especially in our education system, that the history of Afrikaans be incorporated within our education system so that they can become proud. I think that is where it starts.
A popular saying that history is often written by the conqueror, and in the case of South Africa, this has been the case. Thankfully, a new narrative is now being written that is giving credit to the pioneers of the language that is endemic to this country.
Alhamdulillah, we've come to the end of the show. Hope to see you again next week, same time, same place. Kinna mare mokonda, kere are boere bonan khabe. Assalamu alaikum.